Captain Mirai stared at the screen with growing concern. The distress signal came from deep inside the Keth Nebula, a place where ships went to die. No one survived the electromagnetic storms and twisted gravity fields that filled that region of space. Yet here was a clear emergency beacon calling for help. How long has it been transmitting? She asked her communications officer, Nari. 3 days, Captain. The signal is weak but steady. Nari's blue skin showed patches of worry color that her species displayed when stressed. It's coming from the dead center of the nebula. Mirai looked around the bridge of the Harmony's edge. Her crew came from 6 different worlds, each bringing their own strengths to the survey mission. Jinwoo, her tactical officer, had the sharp reflexes of his mountain world people. Navigator Suman could plot courses through space that others thought impossible. They were good people, experienced explorers. But the Keth Nebula was different. It was a graveyard where even the bravest crews feared to go. Captain, Jinwoo spoke up from his station. We should report this to Galactic Command and move on. Nothing good comes from that nebula. Mirai knew he was right. Protocol said to mark the location and let the heavy rescue ships handle it. But something about the signal bothered her. It was too clean, too strong for a ship dying in those storms. Suman, can you plot a safe course into the nebula? Just to the edge? The navigator's tentacles danced over her controls. Maybe the storms are lighter today. We could get close enough for better scans. Do it. The Harmony's edge moved toward the swirling clouds of the Keth Nebula. The ship shook as they hit the first electromagnetic waves. Lights flickered on the bridge, and Mirai heard the engine strain against the pull of gravity fields that shouldn't exist. There. Suman pointed at her screen. Something big, maybe 10 kilometers ahead. Mirai leaned forward. Through the static and interference, she could see a shape that didn't belong. It was huge, larger than any ship in their database. The design looked wrong somehow. Too angular, too aggressive. What kind of ship is that? She asked. Jinwoo ran deep scans, his face growing pale. Captain, I'm reading materials that shouldn't exist. The hull is made of metals that absorb energy instead of reflecting it. And those weapon ports, and he stopped talking and just stared. What about them? They're bigger than our entire ship. The distress signal grew stronger as they approached. But something else appeared on their screens. Lights inside the massive vessel. Someone was alive in there, life signs? Mirai asked, hard to tell. The electromagnetic interference is scrambling our sensors, but there's definitely power active in several sections. Mirai made a decision that would change everything. Prepare a boarding party. We're going over there. Captain, that's not wise, Jinwoo protested. We don't know what's on that ship. Someone sent that distress signal. They might still be alive. The away team suited up in their best environmental gear. Mirai led them herself, along with Jinwoo, Engineer Kyungmin, and Medic Eri. As their shuttle approached the massive vessel, they could see details that made no sense. The ship's hull had scorch marks that looked fresh, but the metal underneath showed no damage. Weapon systems that should have been destroyed by the nebula's storms were still intact. Most strange of all, airlocks that had been sealed shut for who knows how long showed signs of recent use. This doesn't make sense, Kyungmin muttered as they docked with one of the smaller airlocks. This ship should be dead. Everything in this nebula dies. The airlock cycled and they stepped into darkness. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on walls that seemed to absorb their flashlight beams. The gravity felt wrong, too heavy, pulling at them with force that made walking difficult. Gravity is reading 3 times normal, Eri reported, breathing hard. How is anyone supposed to live in this? They moved through corridors that were too wide and too tall. The ceiling disappeared into shadows above them. Everything was built on a scale that suggested the ship's original owners were much larger than any known species. Look at this, Jinwoo called from ahead. He stood next to what looked like a control panel, but the buttons were the size of dinner plates. What kind of beings built this place? Kyungmin examined the walls. These metals are incredible. They're designed to withstand forces that would crush any normal ship. And look at these power conduits. They're still active after who knows how long. They found the first clues in what looked like a cargo bay. Equipment filled the massive space. Tools and machines that seemed designed for impossible tasks. Drill bits made from materials they couldn't identify. Environmental suits built to withstand pressures that would flatten their own ship. This is mining equipment, Eri said, examining a device the size of a small building. But for what kind of world? A world where normal people would die in seconds, Mirai answered. They pressed deeper into the ship, following the source of the distress signal. The corridors branched and twisted, leading them through sections that seemed designed for different purposes. They found what looked like living quarters, beds that were more like stone slabs with restraints to hold the sleeper down against crushing gravity. Who were these people? Jinwoo wondered aloud. The answer came when they found the ship's database. Kyungmin managed to interface with the alien computer system, her engineering skills allowing her to bypass security that had protected the information for centuries. Symbols and text filled the screen, a language none of them recognized. But the computer helpfully provided translations, and what they read made their blood run cold. Classification: Deathworld vessel, Class 15. Kyungmin read aloud. Warning: this vessel is designed for operation in hostile environments unsuitable for standard biological forms. Crew requirements include resistance to extreme gravity, toxic atmosphere, radiation levels exceeding safety standards, predator-rich environments. Class 15, Mireille repeated. I've never heard of anything above Class 8. Because Class 15 was theoretical, Jinwoo said quietly. No known world rates that high on the danger scale. They continued reading. The ship belonged to something called the Korthak Empire. The files spoke of worlds with crushing gravity, atmospheres that would dissolve most metals, and creatures that could tear through starship hulls with their bare claws. But the most disturbing discovery came when Kyungmin checked the power logs. Captain, she said, her voice shaking. Someone has been using this ship's systems recently within the last month. That's impossible. Nothing could survive in this nebula that long. The logs don't lie. Someone is living here. Someone who can operate Korthak technology and survive in their environment. A sound echoed through the corridors. Footsteps coming their way. Heavy, confident footsteps that suggested whoever was walking wasn't struggling with the crushing gravity like they were. We need to hide, Jinwoo whispered, but Mireille shook her head. No, we came here to help. If someone is alive on this ship, we need to make contact. The footsteps grew closer. In the dim emergency lighting, they could see a figure approaching. It was smaller than they expected, roughly the same size as Mireille herself. But it moved through the heavy gravity as if it were nothing. The figure stepped into the light, and they got their first look at one of the ship's current inhabitants. It was human. The human stood in the doorway, looking as surprised to see them as they were to see him. He was young, maybe in his 20s, with dark hair and clothes that looked like they were made from ship materials. What shocked the alien crew most was how easily he moved in the crushing gravity that made their bones ache. Oh, the human said in broken galactic standard. More visitors, you okay? You look sick. Mireille struggled to speak through the weight pressing down on her chest. We received distress signal. The human's face brightened. That still working? Good, we fixed transmitter 3 weeks ago. You here to help? Jinwoo managed to raise his weapon, though the effort made him shake. Stay back. We don't know your intentions. The human looked confused. Intentions? We just need ride home. Our ship broke in storm. He gestured deeper into the vessel. Come, others want to meet you. But careful. Some areas have bad air. Against every protocol they knew, Mireille decided to follow. The human moved ahead of them, sometimes stopping to wait when he realized they couldn't keep up with his pace. He seemed genuinely concerned about their struggle with the gravity. Heavy here, yes? He said. We got used to it. Ship gravity is nice, like home. They entered a section of the ship that had been modified. The alien crew could see where human hands had worked on the ancient systems. Cables had been rerouted, panels removed and rebuilt. What amazed them was that it all worked perfectly. How did you learn to operate this technology? Kyungmin asked, staring at repairs that should have been impossible. The human shrugged. Try things until they work. Ship computer helps sometimes. Very smart computer. They came to what had once been a Korthak meeting room but was now clearly being used as living space by the humans. Several more people looked up as they entered. Men and women who moved with the same easy grace despite the crushing gravity. Friends, called out a woman who seemed to be the leader. Welcome to our temporary home. I am Jisoo. Sorry about mess, we still cleaning up. Mireille looked around the space. What the humans called a mess was actually an incredibly efficient use of the available area. They had set up sleeping areas, food storage, and workspaces using a combination of Korthak equipment and human ingenuity. How many of you are there? Ari asked. 12, answered a man introduced as Wanho. We were mining crew. Ship got caught in storm while we were exploring asteroid field. Had to abandon when engines failed. And you found this ship? Ship found us, Jisoo laughed. Emergency systems pulled our escape pods inside when they detected life signs. Very helpful ship. Jinwoo was examining their modifications to the alien systems. These repairs, they shouldn't work. You're using completely different technology standards. Everything just machines, Wonho said, joining him. Metal, energy, pressure, same everywhere. You understand principles, you can fix anything. The casual way he said it made Jinwoo's head spin. The humans were treating technology that was centuries beyond anything on Earth like it was simple machinery. Show them the workshop, suggested another human, a young woman named Hyane. They followed her to what had been a Korthak engineering bay. The humans had turned it into a combination workshop and laboratory. Equipment that would have taken galactic engineers months to understand was being used to build simple tools and repair equipment. This particle welder, Kyungmin said, pointing at a device the size of a small building, is designed to work on neutronium hulls. How are you using it to fix clothes?
Hyane demonstrated, adjusting the massive machine settings to repair a torn piece of fabric.
Big machine, small job. Just turn down power and adjust focus. Same idea as sewing, just with more energy. The implications were staggering. The humans weren't just surviving in an environment that should have killed them. They were making it better. They had taken a dead Korthak vessel and turned it into a functional home. What do you eat? Ari asked, her medical training making her curious about their survival. Ship has good food stores, said Taehoon, who appeared to be the senior member of the group. Korthak food is very nutritious. Little bitter, but we got used to it. Ari's scanner showed that what the humans called food would be toxic to most known species. The Korthak diet included compounds that would destroy the digestive systems of normal biological forms. Doesn't it make you sick? First week was rough, Taehoon admitted. But human stomach is strong. We eat many different things on Earth. They were invited to share a meal, though the aliens politely declined after their scanners revealed the toxic nature of the Korthak food supplies. The humans ate with apparent enjoyment, discussing their plans to return home and share their discoveries. This ship teach us much, Jisoo explained, between bites of what looked like metallic paste. We learn new techniques for mining, new materials. Earth companies will be very interested. You're planning to reverse engineer this technology? Mirai asked. Why not? Ship computer happy to teach. Korthak left good records. We take what useful, leave rest. The casual way they discussed taking apart technology that represented the pinnacle of an advanced civilization was disturbing. But what was more disturbing was that they clearly could do it. Wonho showed them his personal project, a handheld device he had built using Korthak components. Emergency communicator, he explained. Works through any interference. Very useful for mining operations. Kyungmin examined the device and realized it was more advanced than anything in their ship's communication array. The human had built it in his spare time using spare parts. How long have you been here? Jinwoo asked. 4 months, Taehoon answered. We sent distress signal when we first arrived, but no one came. We fixed signal 3 weeks ago when we learned to boost power. 4 months in this environment should have killed you. The humans looked confused by this statement. Ship is comfortable, Hyane said. Better than some mining stations we worked on. Good air, steady gravity, no weather. Only problem is no sunlight, but we fixed that with grow lights. She showed them a section where they had set up a small garden using Korthak hydroponics equipment. Earth plants were growing in alien soil, under lights that were designed for photosynthesis on worlds with different stars. Plants do very well here, she said proudly. Soil is rich, water is clean. Better than many places on Earth. The alien crew exchanged worried looks. If the humans found this environment comfortable, what did that say about their homeworld? As they prepared to leave, Taehoon made a request that changed everything. You have ship, yes? Fast ship? When Mirai nodded, he continued. We like to go home now. We take important things from this ship. Leave rest. Maybe you give us ride? What kind of important things? Kyungmin asked. Wonho gestured to several large containers they had filled with Korthak technology and data cores. Scientific equipment, computer files, some samples. Nothing too big. We travel light. The aliens realized they were looking at enough advanced technology to revolutionize galactic civilization. To the humans, it was just useful stuff to take home. We can arrange transport, Mirai said carefully. But first we need to understand more about your situation. What to understand? Jisoo asked. We survived, we learned. Now we go home. Simple. But as the alien crew prepared to return to their ship, they knew there was nothing simple about what they had discovered. Humans weren't just survivors. They were adapters who could take the worst conditions and make them livable, and they were about to enter galactic civilization. Back aboard the Harmony's Edge, the crew gathered in the conference room to discuss what they had witnessed. The ship's artificial gravity felt strangely light after hours in the crushing environment of the Korthak vessel. "They're not supposed to exist," Jinwoo said, rubbing his sore muscles. "According to our database, humans are a primitive species from a Class 7 world. They barely have space travel." "The database is wrong," Miri replied, "or incomplete. These humans have been living in conditions that would kill our entire crew in minutes." Nari pulled up the official files on humanity. "Says here they come from a world called Earth. Moderate gravity, breathable atmosphere, no major environmental hazards. They only achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago." "Then explain how they're using Korthak technology like it's simple tools," Kyung-min demanded. "I spent 6 years studying advanced engineering, and I couldn't understand half of what they've built over there." Dr. So-young, their xenobiologist, had been analyzing the biological samples they had secretly taken. "Their physical adaptations are remarkable. Dense bone structure, efficient cardiovascular systems, and digestive chemistry that can process almost anything organic. These aren't the humans from our files. Maybe they're a different subspecies," Eri suggested. "Enhanced humans modified for extreme environments." Mirai made a decision. "We're going back. I want to understand who these people really are before we take them anywhere." The second visit was different. The humans welcomed them like old friends, and Tae-hoon gave them a proper tour of their modifications to the Korthak ship. What the aliens saw challenged everything they thought they knew about technological development. "This section was damaged when we arrived," explained Seojin, a quiet man who seemed to be their best engineer. "Explosion took out main power coupling. We fixed using backup systems and some creativity. The creativity involved rerouting power through systems that were never designed to work together. It should have been impossible, but it worked perfectly." "How did you know how to do this?" Kyungmin asked. "Same principles everywhere." Seojin shrugged. "Energy needs path, system needs control, safety needs backup. Rest is just details." They visited the humans' sleeping area, where the aliens discovered something that made them deeply uncomfortable. The humans had turned off most of the ship's safety systems. Radiation shielding, atmospheric processors, gravity regulators. Jinwoo read from his scanner. "You've disabled everything." "Not need them," said Do-hyun, a younger man who was working on some kind of mechanical project. "Ship's normal environment is fine. All that extra protection just wastes power. The radiation levels would sterilize most species," Eri protested. "Not humans," Do-hyun replied cheerfully. "We from Earth. Radiation is normal there." The casual mention of their home world made the aliens exchange nervous glances. If this level of radiation was normal on Earth, what kind of world had produced these people? Mirai decided to ask directly. "Tell us about Earth. What's it like?" The humans' faces lit up with obvious homesickness. "Beautiful world," Jisoo said warmly. "Many different environments. Mountains, oceans, deserts, forests. Always something new to see. Weather is exciting," added Hien. "Storms that can level cities, earthquakes that reshape continents, volcanoes that change the sky. Very dramatic, and the animals," Wonho said with enthusiasm. "Great hunters. Some bigger than this ship. Makes life interesting." The aliens listened in growing horror as the humans described their home world with obvious love and affection. What they were calling a beautiful place sounded like a nightmare of natural disasters and massive predators. "You have predators larger than our ship?" Jinwoo asked weakly. "Some ocean hunters are very big," Tae-hoon confirmed, "but they usually stay in deep water. Land predators are smaller, only maybe 10, 20 times bigger than humans. Very manageable if you're careful." "Manageable," Mirai repeated. "Of course. We've been hunting them for thousands of years. Good protein source, and hunting keeps population balanced." Dr. So-young asked about human society, and the answers were even more disturbing. Humans had developed their technology while constantly fighting for survival against their own environment. War, disease, natural disasters, and hostile wildlife had shaped their entire evolution. "Sounds terrible," Eri said sympathetically. The humans looked confused. "Why terrible?" Jisoo asked. Challenge makes life worth living. Easy life is boring life. You enjoy danger? Not enjoy danger, Taehoon corrected. Enjoy overcoming danger, solving problems, making impossible things work. That's what makes us human. They were interrupted by an alarm from the Korthak ship's systems. One of the power cores was showing signs of instability, the kind of malfunction that would require evacuation and emergency repairs. The alien crew prepared for disaster, but the humans just looked mildly annoyed. Again? Sojun sighed. Third time this month. Give me 10 minutes. He walked off toward the engineering section, treating a potential reactor explosion like a minor inconvenience. Shouldn't we evacuate? Kyungmin asked nervously. Why? Wonho asked. Seojun knows how to fix it. He's very good with machines. True to his word, Seojun had the reactor stabilized in exactly 10 minutes. When he returned, he was carrying a piece of burnt-out equipment. Connection was loose, he explained. Happens sometimes with old ships. I made stronger replacement. The stronger replacement was a hand-forged piece of metal that somehow interfaced perfectly with technology that was thousands of years old. You made that just now? Kyungmin stared at the device. Sure. Ship has good workshop. Can make anything if you understand materials. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans didn't just adapt to their environment, they improved it. They took whatever they found and made it work better. How many humans are there? Mirai asked during their evening meal. On Earth? Maybe 8 billion, Jisoo replied casually. 8 billion, Jinwoo repeated in shock. 8 billion people living on a death world? Earth is not Deathworld, Hien protested. Earth is home. Good place to live if you know how. And how many of you are traveling in space? The humans had to think about that one. Hard to say, Taehoon mused. Many mining operations, exploration teams, colony ships, maybe few million off-world at any time. The implications hit the alien crew like a physical blow. There weren't just 12 humans surviving in impossible conditions. There were millions of them scattered across space, apparently thriving in environments that would kill anyone else. Where are these colonies? Mirai asked carefully. Everywhere, Wonho said with a wave of his hand. Asteroid fields, gas giant moons, radiation zones, anywhere with useful materials. We go where others cannot go. The worthless systems, Nari whispered. Not worthless, Doyun corrected. Just dangerous. But dangerous places often have best resources. Other species are afraid, so they leave good opportunities for us. As the day ended, the alien crew realized they had stumbled onto something that would change galactic civilization forever. Humans weren't a primitive species learning about space. They were already out there, quietly claiming the parts of the galaxy that no one else wanted, and they were making those places into homes. We should leave soon, Taehoon mentioned as they prepared to return to their ship. Earth government expects us back next month. They worry when mining crews are late. Your government knows you're here? Mirai asked. Of course. Earth keeps track of all operations. We sent message when we first found this ship. They probably send rescue team if we're much later. The thought of a rescue team of humans arriving in their advanced ships was both exciting and terrifying. The aliens were beginning to realize that first contact had already happened. They just hadn't known it yet. Dr. So-young worked through the night, translating the Korthak database with the help of the ship's computer. What she found in the ancient files made her blood run cold. The Korthak Empire had ruled this sector of space for over 3,000 years. They were apex predators evolved on a world so hostile that it made the current ship environment seem comfortable. Their homeworld, called Korth Prime, was described in terms that sounded like a description of hell. Gravity 14 times galactic standard. She read aloud to the assembled crew. Atmospheric pressure sufficient to crush standard hulls. Surface temperature variations of over 200 degrees daily. Predator species with natural armor plating and acidic blood. That's impossible, Eri protested. Nothing could evolve in those conditions. The Korthak did. And they dominated space because they were tougher than anything else out there. No other species could compete with beings who thought crushing gravity and toxic air were normal. Mirai studied the files with growing unease. What happened to them? That's the strange part. They didn't die in war or plague. They died from boredom. The final Korthak records told a story that was both tragic and terrifying. As their empire grew, they encountered thousands of worlds. But every planet they found was too soft, too safe, too easy for their survival. They had evolved to need constant challenge, and the rest of the galaxy couldn't provide it. Listen to this final log entry, So-Young said, reading from the translation. We have surveyed 10,000 worlds and found none suitable for Korthak settlement. Every planet is too gentle. Our young are dying from lack of proper adversity. We require worlds with sufficient danger to maintain our strength, but such worlds no longer exist. They died because life became too easy? Jinwoo asked in disbelief. Their bodies and minds needed constant stress to function properly. When they couldn't find worlds dangerous enough to live on, their species began to decline. The last emperor ordered the evacuation fleet to find a new home, but they never did. This ship was abandoned because they couldn't find anywhere hostile enough for them to survive. The implications were staggering. The most successful warrior race in galactic history had gone extinct, not because they were defeated, but because they couldn't find anywhere dangerous enough to live. And the humans are living here comfortably, Kyung-min said quietly. More than comfortably. They're thriving. Captain Mirai authorized a deep scan of the ship's database, looking for information about Korth Prime. What they found made everyone sick with realization. Korth Prime's environmental specifications, Nari read from her console. Gravity 9.8 standard units. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. Surface temperature range, -40 to +50 degrees Celsius. Radiation levels, moderate solar with periodic intense bursts. The bridge fell silent. That's Earth, Eri whispered. Those are exactly Earth specifications. Not exactly, So-Young corrected, checking her own files. Earth is actually worse. Higher radiation, more extreme weather, more diverse predator species. The terrible truth settled over them like a weight. Humans hadn't just survived on a Korthak ship. They had survived because they came from a world that was harder than the Korthak homeworld. The humans aren't primitive, Mirai said slowly. They're the most evolved survival species in the galaxy. They decided to return to the Korthak ship immediately. The humans needed to know what they had discovered, and the aliens needed to understand more about human capabilities. They found Seojun, working on another impossible project. He was rebuilding a Korthak weapon system to use as a mining laser. The power output of that weapon could destroy a small moon, Jinwoo observed, watching the human casually rewire systems that would require a team of specialists to even understand. Too much power for mining, Seojun agreed. I scale it down. Make it useful instead of wasteful. You're not afraid of it? Seojun looked confused. Why afraid? Is just tool. You understand tool, you control tool. Fear comes from not understanding. Dr. So-Young showed the humans what she had discovered about the Korthak. The humans listened with interest but no apparent concern. So this was their ship, Taehoon said when she finished. Explains good construction. They built things to last. Doesn't it bother you that you're living in a ship designed for the galaxy's most dangerous predators? Why should it bother us? Jisoo asked. If they built it right for their needs, it works well for our needs too. But the Korthak were apex predators. They conquered most of known space, so? Wonho shrugged. They're gone now. We're here. Their loss is our gain. The casual way the humans dismissed the most feared race in galactic history was disturbing. But what was more disturbing was the growing realization that humans might be more dangerous than the Korthak had ever been. The Korthak specialized, So-Young explained. They evolved for specific extreme conditions. But humans seemed to adapt to anything. She had been studying the modifications the humans had made to the ship. They hadn't just learned to operate Korthak technology, they had improved it. Made it more efficient, more versatile, safer to operate. Look at this. She showed them Seojun's work on the power systems. He's increased efficiency by 30% while reducing the chance of dangerous overloads. The Korthak designed this system, but the human made it better. We're good at making things work, Seojun said modestly. Practice makes perfect. How much practice? All our lives. On Earth, things break a lot. Weather, earthquakes, animals, wars. You learn to fix things fast or you die. Hyein joined the conversation, carrying a device that looked like a combination scanner and weapon. I made this for exploring, she explained. Can detect minerals, map cave systems, and defend against predators. The alien crew examined her invention and realized it was more advanced than their own survey equipment. She had built it in her spare time using spare parts. What kind of predators do you need to defend against while mining? Eri asked. Depends on world, Hyein replied. Some places have rock eaters that attack machinery. Others have tunnel hunters that follow heat signatures. You have to be ready for anything. You fight predators regularly. Fighting is last choice, Tehun said. Better to avoid, redirect, or negotiate. But sometimes you have to fight. Negotiate with predators? Smart predators understand cost and benefit. You show them you're more trouble than you're worth. They usually find easier prey. The aliens realized they were talking to people who had spent their entire evolution learning to survive in conditions that would kill anyone else. And they had gotten so good at it that they made the impossible look easy. What's the most dangerous world you've worked on? Mirai asked. The humans had to think about that question. Define dangerous, Jisoo said finally. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, hostile wildlife. Oh, that's just normal mining conditions? Wanho laughed. You mean really dangerous? Like the sulfur moon colonies or the plasma storm stations? There are humans living in plasma storms? Small research teams. Very good pay, but you have to be careful with equipment. Plasma eats through most metals pretty fast. The conversation continued, with each revelation making the aliens more uncomfortable. Humans weren't just surviving in impossible conditions, they were thriving in them, building colonies, conducting research, and finding ways to make the deadliest environments in the galaxy into productive workplaces. How many of these extreme colonies exist? Nari asked. Hard to count, Tehun mused. Earth doesn't track private operations closely. Maybe few thousand installations in systems others consider uninhabitable? Few thousand, Jinwoo repeated weakly. The numbers were staggering. While galactic civilization had been carefully expanding into safe, comfortable worlds, humans had been quietly colonizing the galaxy's most dangerous places. They had been doing it for decades, and no one had noticed because no one else could survive long enough to see what they were building. Tomorrow we go home, Jisoo announced. We've learned what we can from this ship. Time to share knowledge with Earth. As the alien crew returned to their ship that night, they carried with them the terrible knowledge of what they had discovered. Humans weren't a primitive species making first contact with galactic civilization. They were the galaxy's apex survivors, and they had been building their own civilization in the places where no one else could go. Captain Mirai called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The weight of their discovery pressed down on everyone in the room like the crushing gravity of the Korthak ship. We need to discuss what we're going to do with this information, she began. What we found changes everything we thought we knew about galactic civilization. We have to report this to the Galactic Council, Jinwoo insisted. Other species need to know that humans are already out here, building colonies in systems we thought were uninhabitable. And cause a panic? Dr. So-young countered. Think about what we're really saying. We've discovered a species that considers Deathworlds to be comfortable living spaces. A species that can take Korthak technology and improve it like it's simple machinery. Nari pulled up a galactic map on the main screen. Look at this. All the red zones. Systems marked as too dangerous for colonization. If humans are really out there, they could be in any of these places. The map showed hundreds of star systems marked in red. Radiation zones, unstable gravity fields, worlds with toxic atmospheres or hostile wildlife, places where survey teams feared to go. They're not just surviving out there, Kyungmin said quietly. They're probably thriving. Building cities, developing technology, creating an entire shadow civilization that we never knew existed. The door chimed, and Eri entered with a concerned expression. Captain, I need to show you something. I've been analyzing the biological samples from our contact with the humans. She activated her medical scanner, displaying cellular structures that looked nothing like the human samples in their database. These people aren't just adapted to extreme environments, she explained. They're optimized for them. Bone density 3 times normal, muscle fiber efficiency beyond anything we've seen, nervous systems that process pain and stress as normal input rather than distress signals. You're saying they're not the same species as the humans in our files? They're the same species, but they represent what humans become when they live in extreme conditions for generations. And according to what they've told us, most human space operations are conducted in environments like this. The implications were staggering. The primitive humans that galactic civilization had briefly contacted 50 years ago were not representative of human capability. They had been looking at the stay-at-home population while the real explorers and colonists were already spreading across the galaxy. Captain? Nari interrupted. I'm receiving a transmission. It's from Earth. Put it through. A voice spoke in clear galactic standard with the slight accent that marked it as human. Galactic Survey Vessel Harmony's Edge. This is Earth Logistics Command. We understand you have made contact with our mining team in the Keth Nebula. Please respond. Mirai exchanged glances with her crew. The humans had already contacted their homeworld. Earth Logistics Command, this is Captain Mirai. We have indeed made contact with your people. They are safe and requesting transport home. Thank you, Captain. We're transmitting coordinates for rendezvous with one of our ships. Mining team will be transferred to Earth vessel for debriefing and medical evaluation. Earth vessel? Jinwoo whispered. They have ships in this sector? The coordinates came through indicating a position just outside the nebula. When they arrived, they found a ship waiting for them that made their blood run cold. It was huge, built along the same brutal lines as the Korthak vessel, but with modifications that spoke of human engineering. The hull showed scorch marks from travel through environments that would destroy normal ships. Most disturbing of all, it moved through the nebula's electromagnetic storms like they were gentle breezes. Harmony's Edge, this is ELS Iron Mountain. Permission to come aboard for transfer operations? Before Mirai could respond, a shuttle launched from the human ship. It flew through the storm-lashed space around the nebula, without any apparent concern for the forces that had nearly destroyed their own vessel. The shuttle docked, and 3 humans came aboard. They moved with the same easy grace in normal gravity that the mining team had shown in the crushing environment of the Korthak ship. Captain Mirai, the leader introduced herself. I'm Commander Yunji, Earth Logistics Service. Thank you for assisting our people. It was our duty, Mirai replied, though she was studying the humans carefully. These weren't miners or engineers. These were military personnel, and they carried themselves with the confidence of people who had never met a challenge they couldn't overcome. Our mining team reported some interesting discoveries, Commander Yunji continued. Ancient technology, historical records, useful materials. We appreciate you allowing them to complete their salvage operations. Salvage operations? The Korthak vessel contains technology and materials that will be useful for Earth operations. Our team has been very thorough in their analysis. Mirai realized that what the aliens had thought was desperate survival had actually been a planned operation. The humans hadn't been stranded, they had been working. How long have you been operating in this sector? She asked. Earth has had mining and research operations in this region for about 15 years. Commander Yunji replied casually. The nebula provides excellent cover for sensitive work, and the gravitational anomalies concentrate useful materials. 15 years, Kyungmin breathed. We prefer to work in areas where other species don't usually venture. Fewer complications, better opportunities for research and development. The human commander was being polite, but the message was clear. Humans had been operating in the galaxy's most dangerous regions for over a decade, and they preferred it that way. The transfer of the mining team was swift and efficient. The humans loaded their salvaged Korthak technology onto the shuttle as if it were routine cargo. Tons of materials that would revolutionize galactic technology, treated like everyday mining equipment. Will you be returning to Earth space? Commander Yunji asked as the operation concluded. We're still on survey duty, Mirai replied. Well, if you ever need assistance in the outer systems, Earth maintains stations in most of the dangerous sectors. We're always happy to help fellow travelers. The casual mention of stations in most of the dangerous sectors sent chills through the alien crew. How many human installations were out there? How long had they been building their shadow civilization, while the rest of the galaxy focused on safe, easy worlds? As the human ships prepared to depart, Taehoon contacted the Harmony's Edge one final time. Thank you for help, he said warmly. If you ever visit Earth system, look us up. We show you proper human hospitality. What would that involve? Mirai asked, curiosity overcoming caution. Good food, strong drink, exciting stories. Maybe take you hunting if you're feeling brave. Hunting what? Oh, nothing too dangerous. Maybe some of the smaller predators. Build character, you know? The transmission ended, leaving the alien crew to contemplate a species that considered hunting massive predators to be character-building exercise. As they watched the human ships disappear into jump space, Dr. So-Young made an observation that would haunt them all. We've been thinking about this wrong, she said. We keep asking if humans are dangerous. But the real question is, what does it mean for galactic civilization when the most dangerous environments in the galaxy are just normal working conditions for an entire species? It means, Mirai said slowly, that we're not the advanced civilization we thought we were. We've been playing in the shallow end of the pool while humans have been swimming in the deep end. What do we tell the Galactic Council? Jinwoo asked. Mireille considered the question carefully. How do you tell a civilization that prides itself on peace and safety that there's another civilization out there that considers Deathworlds to be suburbs? We tell them the truth, she decided. That humans are already here, already established, and already far more advanced than we realized. And we better hope they're as friendly as they seem, because if they're not, there's nothing we can do to stop them. As the Harmony's Edge resumed its survey mission, the crew carried with them the knowledge that would change everything. Humans weren't trying to join galactic civilization. Galactic civilization was trying to catch up to humans.